This week on Let's Fish TV, I'm here on Lake Livingston, just north of Houston, and I'm chasing one of my favorite fish, and that's the white bass. One thing about white bass, they bite, and they bite often. You can load the boat in an extremely short amount of time, and that's what I plan to do today. We're gonna be chasing schooling fish, chasing the birds, and fishing one of my favorite baits, a spoon, in today's episode. Let's Fish TV is on the air right now.
That is a fish. Oh man, look at this.
It's time for the only program that brings you real-time fishing reports from the Southwest region every week.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, look at that. Woo!
This is Let's Fish.
Welcome to Lake Livingston. Lake Livingston was founded in 1971, and we're celebrating its 50th year anniversary this year. Its surface area is around 83,000 acres. It's a nice sized lake. It's just north of Houston and just outside of Livingston, Texas. It's a really easy place to get to, and it has a lot of fish in it, white bass included, and that's what we're going after today. We'll also have this week's fishing report from your local region from our insider reporter. Today we're gonna be fishing out of the Low Stinger 198 aluminum bass boat. This thing is loaded with all the good stuff, including a large front deck and a big live well for whenever you catch that big load of fish. In the meantime, I'm gonna get this boat launched, get it in the water and get it set up, and toss it back to the studio for your weekend planner.
Thanks so much for joining us for yet another episode of Let's Fish. The Salooner tables are predicting fair game fish activity throughout both days this weekend. Peak game fish activity begins around 7:06 Saturday and 8:04 on Sunday morning. Evening action will begin around 7:31 on Saturday and 8:29 Sunday night. Depending on your area, expect the sun to rise around 7:45 and set around 6:39. Evenings will feature a moon that is 34% visible. We'll be right back to check all of the current fishing reports from throughout the area, and I will return with Bassmaster Elite Angler Jamie Hartman on this week's Ask the Pro feature. Stick with us.
All right guys, today we're out here on Lake Livingston, located just north of Houston. Today we're gonna be targeting white bass in the middle of summer. One thing that we do have condition-wise today is gonna be a little bit different than usual for the summertime is we're gonna have a lot of wind. Wind is your friend when you're white bass fishing because what it's gonna do is activate those bait fish. It's gonna move bait fish all around the lake, and a lot of times that means you're gonna catch them way shallower than usual because it'll blow those bait fish up on those shallow flats. So today that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try to catch some with spoons and casting them out and reeling them in. Let's see what happens. In the meantime, I'm gonna toss a commercial break and I'm gonna go see if I can catch me some bass.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Lose. Feel the difference. Waypoint Customs. Customize your boat your way. Strike King. Tie one on. Glacier Glove. Stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades. Fishing Specialties. Makers of the premier mount assembly for live sonar.
You know, there's a lot of these little white bass schooling. If you get out here early, you can have some of the most fun. There we go. Oh, there's a nice one, guys. Welcome to Lake Livingston. This is one of my favorite places to be. I haven't been here in a really long time, but guys, there's one thing that Lake Livingston has, and that is a lot of white bass. It's located just north of Houston, and right here, guys, is what you're gonna catch. You know, there's a lot of these little white bass schooling. If you get out here early, you can have some of the most fun you've ever had. So the main thing whenever you're catching these white bass is to have good equipment. You know, I want to have a little bit bigger line, like 20-pound test, because I don't want to be spending time retying, especially when these fish are breaking. I mean, as you can see, there's birds flying around, there's fish breaking, and you can fill the boat up with these nice white bass really quickly. They eat really good, and they're a lot of fun to catch, especially for that younger kid that's just now getting into fishing. You know, they can go out there and catch a bunch of fish. The way I like to look at white bass is kind of like whenever I'm hunting. You know, you can go trophy hunting, which what I would consider bass fishing or something like that, or you can go after quantity like dove hunting. In this case, that would be your white bass, and you can have a lot of fun and catch a lot of really nice fish. I'm gonna get this one back, and I'm gonna see if I can catch me another one. There we go. Man, these white bass are fun. I'm telling you guys, if you get out here with a kid, this is some of the most fun they'll ever have in their life. This is actually what hooked me into fishing to begin with. You know, my dad took me out on Richland Chambers, Toledo Bend, and we caught a bunch of really big white bass, and a lot of them. And I think that was the big key, was the number was more of a lot of them and not really the size. You know, because it is all about how many you can catch in a given day. You know, there's actually a guide here on Lake Livingston, and it is called Lake Livingston Adventures, and Michael's his name, and he will put you on a limit of white bass in just a really, really short period of time. And so, like, if you don't have a full day to go fishing, you know, you don't have all that time off, you can actually get out there, go fish, catch you a limit, get you some fish to eat for dinner, and have just the most fun that you've ever had. You know, take that kid fishing, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the technique. I'm gonna get this fish released real quick. A little bit about the technique. So right here I'm using the Little Ledge Spoon by Strike King. This spoon comes with a high quality hook. It's 1 ounce in size, and the color that you want for this lake, and most lakes when it comes to white bass fishing, is chrome. You know, gear is important too. For a kid, you can actually put that spoon on a spinning rod. You can put it on a Zepco 33. In this case, I'm just using my tournament gear, my Magnum hammer with a 7:5 to 1 gear ratio rod. Just like I said though, you want that 20-pound test. You don't want to have to continually retie all the time. It makes casting and fishing way, way easier. Another nice little white bass. Man, this is one of my favorite fish to catch. There's just no doubt about it. There we go. Another nice little white bass. Man, this is one of my favorite fish to catch. There's just no doubt about it. You know, they might not be the biggest fish in the lake, but golly, they fight hard, and they sure do bite hard. And the very best way to catch them is with a jigging spoon. You know, and a jigging spoon is probably one of the most underrated baits that there is, because it truly will catch any fish that swims. You know, there's a lot of different jigging spoons out there, and I throw a lot of different ones. The one that I use a lot is the Little Ledge Spoon that Strike King's made, but I use a lot of other ones too. I'll actually downsize my spoon. And that's a really important point here, is as it gets hotter, as the sun gets higher in the sky, you have to adjust what size spoon you throw and how you fish it. And I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean by that. So what you wanna do is you get your spoon, and in this case, I'm actually throwing a 1/2 ounce spoon. So I've downsized from the Little Ledge Spoon, which is a 1 ounce. I've downsized to a 1/2 ounce to let that spoon actually flutter a little bit more on the drop and have a little bit slower fall. What these fish tend to do is they'll actually sit up off the bottom, and they as the sun gets up, they kind of get a little less likely to chase a bait. So you want that spoon to kind of flutter in their face a little bit more, and that is gonna trigger you the bite. So as earlier, you know, you saw the way I was catching them is you cast up in those breakers. Well, in this case, the best way to catch them is to actually cast it out, let it go to the bottom, and you'll know it's at the bottom because your line will go slack. And you just want to kind of do some little slide hops, like you're hopping it back to the boat just a little bit and letting it fall on slack line. And the one thing about white bass that they'll never, you'll never just wonder, hey, I wonder if that was a bite. It's always a bite, because they hit it so ridiculously hard. And it's just one of those really fun, exciting bites. And that's what triggers kids into enjoying this type of fishing, because the deal is, guys, they hit this bait so ridiculously hard. I mean, you feel the thump through the entire rod. You know, this can actually teach another kid how to crappie fish, how to bass fish, because they understand what a hard bite feels like. Oh, there we go. Another nice little white bass. You know, these things are so much fun. You know, one thing that I definitely recommend, if you really like coming out here and catching these white bass, it's just another nice one, is to actually bring spinning tackle. You know, I actually had planned on bringing spinning tackle. I forgot my spinning rod at the house. But catching these little jokers on a spinning rod is some of the most fun I've ever had. And, you know, that's actually, once I kind of got a little more experience, that's actually what I started doing. As I'd get really small baits, really small spoons, like 1/4 ounce spoons, put them on a spinning rod, and I would go out there and I'd fling it into those schools of white bass and reel it and use lighter line, you know, 6 to 8 pound test. If you are that avid fisherman, you are that guy that likes to go catch a lot of fish, but you kind of get, you know, maybe catching 12, 14-inch fish is not as much fun on bigger tackle, go to that lighter line. Actually, the fight's better, it's way more fun, and you're gonna have so much fun, especially here on Lake Livingston. I mean, it's just one of those kind of places where you can go out and catch 60, 80, 100 fish in a day, and all before 9 o'clock, depending on the day.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Mercury, Go Boldly, Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder, Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Get our free fishing guide at orangebeach.com. Motor Guides Tour Pro with GPS Anchor. The tour is back. Blazer, high-performance boats for high-performance anglers.
That's the one cool thing about this spoon bite, man. Like, look at him. You can just see him hitting it so ridiculously. Oh, he finally got it. There we go. Wow, golly, he's hitting it so hard. That's the one cool thing about this spoon bite, man. Like, look at him. You can just see him hitting it so ridiculously. Oh, he finally got it. There we go. Man, it's just so much fun when they get to eating the spoon so good like this. The one thing about when you're fishing this technique, and it really doesn't matter. I mean, you're gonna, in my opinion, the best bait to throw is a spoon, but you need a rod that has a good moderate action to it. A crankbait rod. In this case, I'm throwing a Magnum Hammer luge rod, and this is gonna be the optimal rod for this. And I'm gonna show you exactly why. I'm gonna get this fish unhooked and get him back. But the whole idea behind this rod is what you want is you want a rod that has a good parabolic bend. It has to have that good solid bend, because the deal is those fish are gonna hit it, and if you pull it too hard and you have a too heavy of an action of a rod, it'll actually pull the spoon away from the fish and cause you to miss them, lose them a lot easier. If you have that more limber rod, it actually will give you more of an opportunity to catch that fish 9 times out of 10. And actually, when you do hook them, you don't lose them. And I can tell you, I've caught a bunch of fish today, and I haven't lost any of them. And the reason I haven't lost them is because I have that good parabolic action between that loose Magnum Hammer rod. And that is a crucial step whenever you're picking out the gear to come white bass fishing, because, you know, we might not need to take 20 rods with us. All we need to take is a couple. I think all I have in the boat right now is 3 rods, but they're all that moderate action to make sure I don't lose those fish when I hook them. One mistake I see a lot of anglers make when they're out here white bass fishing is they're fishing their spoon incorrectly, especially when those fish stop breaking. Now, if the fish are schooling, there's not a whole lot of ways to fish it wrong, because you can just cast it out there and a lot of times just reel it in. But when you're out here and the fishing is a little tougher, you actually have to cast your spoon out there, let it go to the bottom, okay? And this is the mistake I see anglers make, is that it'll go to the bottom and they're gonna go, they're gonna jerk it real hard. You know, they're making these real hard jerks, or they're fishing it real fast or anything. And to me, you're not gonna get that many white bass to bite when they go inactive. So if they're inactive, the #1 trick I can tell you is to actually slow your jerk down and jerk it on slack line. Instead of tightening your line and jerking it on tight line and pulling it 5-6 foot up off the bottom, let your line lay on the water and actually just jerk your line up. Your spoon's only gonna come off the bottom about 1 foot to 2 foot, which is about the perfect distance for those fish to actually react to it. And that's when you're actually going to catch most of them, is whenever you see it like that, because you know, it's really a lot more natural looking to them. And so that's, like I said, that's the biggest mistake. And see, I just had one bite it because I'm sitting here worming it back to the boat. But that is the biggest mistake I see a lot of anglers. Oh, he got it. There we go. If you worm that thing back to the boat, definitely gonna put more fish in the boat, especially these white bass, because, you know, they're a lot of fun to catch.
Watch our latest episode or catch up on past episodes on our website at letsfishtv.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for new fishing videos every day. And download the free Waypoint TV app to get all the latest episodes every week on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Academy Sports and Outdoors, making it easier than ever to gear up and have fun out there. Power Pole, total boat control. Visit Mississippi, good times are close by. Low Boats, 50 years of boating craftsmanship. Balls Out, made in the USA, heavy-duty mounts for your fish finders.
So glad to have you back with us. It is time now for the Ask the Pro question. This week, Owen would like to know, on average, how many days or hours does it take you to find good fish while practicing for a tournament? For an answer, we asked Bassmaster Elite Angler Jamie Hartman.
From daylight to dark for all 3 days. I'm not a guy that just jumps on them and gets right on something right away, so luckily we get 3 full days of practice. And by the second day, I start to get myself on a little something, and I refine it the next day, all 3 days. You know, that third day, I try to put it together where I'm going to get a game plan, but I need all that time I can get. I never get that lucky where I'm just on them, so.
Thanks so much, Jamie. If you have a question for one of the pros just like that one, visit our website, click on the Ask the Pro link, and send it on in. Now let's check out the latest Big Catch of the Week winner.
It's time for this week's winner in the Big Catch of the Week contest. This week's winner is Luke Lewis of Corsicana, Texas, with a 25-pound flathead catfish he caught at Richland Chambers Reservoir in Texas.
Here's today's Right Stuff, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Here's the gear that you need to catch white bass here at Lake Livingston. So today, what I was using was a new product from Strike King called the Little Ledge Spoon. What makes the Little Ledge Spoon differ from other spoons out there is it actually has a curve in the body. As you can tell here, this is a traditional spoon, and this is the Little Ledge Spoon. What this does is it gives the Little Ledge Spoon even more action coming through the water, and it has the perfect little triple grip size 4 treble hook on it already. But the coolest feature to it is the built-in swivel. So that was one of my biggest gripes with spoons for years, is I always had to put swivels on them because they'd twist your line up. Because as that spoon falls, it's twisting the whole time. You fish long enough, your line's just ruined for the day. So that Little Ledge Spoon makes a big difference. The rod, to me, is probably one of the most important aspects of catching white bass. I was using a Magnum hammer. It's a parabolic rod. You need that parabolic rod so you can land those fish. 7.5-to-1 gear ratio reel. I'm using a Pro TI and 20-pound line. I don't like to retie a lot, especially if they're biting. I want to be able to cast and catch, and that's how you're going to be able to do it. One thing I really love about this Lowe Stinger 198 bass boat is the oversized consoles. This happens to have a dual console feature, and that's the one that I prefer. If I want to take my son or my wife fishing, and maybe the weather isn't the best, they're going to be able to hide behind these consoles, sit in these comfortable chairs, and have that time of their life that you would want them to have out there on the bass boat. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode here at Lake Livingston. I hope you learned how to find and catch them here on the lake. Barry will be back next week. Until next time, I'll see you on the water.